the rather alarming or disturbing subplot to all this, or subtext to all this, is that every one of these developments seems to undermine one of our treasured cultural or legal institutions, and there doesn't seem to be any way of clawing them back, electorally or otherwise.
Yes, it's extraordinary how, for example, those elites have taken over the bureaucracies, the sporting bureaucracies, not the athletes, but there's a bureaucracy behind them which is woke, which is elite, and which decides to adopt and apply some particular elite philosophy. And we've seen that, for example, in this case, we saw that with the footballer Israel Folau, where it was the bureaucracy of the rugby union which was targeting him merely because he was speaking in a chapel of his religion, and he was reciting parts of the Bible which are well known and which may be critical of people who drink, for example, drink to excess or commit adultery or have any form of sex outside of marriage. Well, this is part and parcel of some of the epistles in the New Testament. So why shouldn't Israel Folau have been saying that, and why?
And why can't Andrew Thorburn?
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, but if Andrew Thorburn is a repeat of Israel Folau, then the Essendon Football Club could be in a lot of trouble because Israel wound up walking away with a lot of money. Now let's move to the National Corruption Commission, which is one of the key initiatives of the new Albanese government. I thought this thing, which is terrible, could only be traced as far back as the hopelessly inadequate institute for the ICAC in New South Wales. But you say it can be traced back to Henry VIII. What's that about?
Well, that's a wonderful statement by a colleague in the media who likened the vague and their pages in the legislation which tell us what corrupt conduct is, and the whole point is they seem to be saying that the new anti-corruption commission can define itself what corrupt conduct is, and the reference was to Henry VIII provisions in legislation, and these copy the statute of proclamations of Henry VIII, and what they effectively do is they delegate to a minister the power to repeal the legislation or amend the legislation, which is an extraordinary power. And these are discredited provisions. They had been used occasionally, and they're highly discredited. But here we have in the legislation concerning the National Anti-Corruption Commission that it will virtually decide what is corrupt conduct. Now, what it should be doing, and the original ICAC, which was in Hong Kong, the New South Wales authorities borrowed the name, but they didn't borrow the basically superb institution which existed there. The original ICAC, and that was when Hong Kong was under the rule of law and people flooded to the colony because it was conducted under the rule of law. And all it did, really, it was a specialised unit which prosecuted people for crimes relating to corruption. That's all it did.